New beginnings at Pilates Paradise. The scent of lavender and eucalyptus swirled around Maya as she hesitantly pushed open the door to Pilates Paradise. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air and a room filled with colorful mats and gleaming equipment. Her palms were slick with nervous sweat. This was it. Her grand attempt to glue the shattered pieces of her life back together. A woman with a bright smile and a cascade of blonde curls bounded towards her. "You must be Maya. I'm Chloe. Welcome." Chloe's enthusiasm was infectious, instantly easing some of Maya's anxiety. "First time, right? Don't worry, we all started somewhere. Just grab a mat and I'll introduce you around." Chloe led her to an empty space near the back, then proceeded to introduce her to the other women in the class, their names a blur of friendly faces and encouraging smiles. Maya mumbled greetings, acutely aware of her ill-fitting workout clothes and the way her hair stubbornly refused to stay tucked behind her ears. As the class began, Maya quickly realized she was in over her head. Chloe's voice, a soothing balm of instruction, was often drowned out by the sheer complexity of the movements. "Engage your core, lengthen your spine, breathe," Chloe instructed. Maya's core felt anything but engaged. Her spine felt like a rusty hinge, and breathing seemed like an impossible task while simultaneously trying to contort herself into a human pretzel. She wobbled precariously during the teaser, her legs shaking like jelly, and nearly face-planted during the rollover. A few times, she peeked at the other women, their bodies moving with graceful fluidity, a stark contrast to her own awkward fumbling. Mortification threatened to overwhelm her, but then she caught Chloe's eye. Chloe winked and gave her a thumbs up, a silent message of encouragement. Maya straightened her shoulders, took a deep breath, and focused on Chloe's instructions. It didn't magically transform her into a Pilates pro, but it helped. She managed a somewhat respectable swan dive, and even held the plank for a few seconds longer than she thought possible. By the end of the class, every muscle in her body screamed in protest. Sweat plastered her hair to her forehead, and her face was flushed. But beneath the physical discomfort, a tiny spark of something new flickered to life. A sense of accomplishment. A whisper of possibility. "How was it?" Chloe asked, her smile genuine. "Brutal," Maya gasped, "but, good. Surprisingly good." Chloe laughed. "I told you. It gets easier, I promise. And the best part is, you already survived the first one. See you next week." "Definitely," Maya said, a genuine smile finally gracing her lips. Maybe, just maybe, this Pilates paradise could be her actual paradise, a place to heal, to grow, and to find herself again. A familiar face. The burn in her thighs finally relented as the instructor called for a water break. Maya gratefully grabbed her bottle, her heart still hammering a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She fumbled with the cap, her fingers clumsy from the exertion. As she drank, her gaze drifted towards the mirrored wall. It wasn't her own flushed face that caught her eye, but a figure leaning against the far side of the room. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a familiar shock of dark hair falling across his forehead. Liam. Liam Walker. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers across the room. Recognition flickered in his gaze, followed by a hesitant smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Maya felt a jolt, something akin to surprise mixed with a nervous flutter. Liam was different. The boy she remembered, all scraped knees and boundless energy, was gone, replaced by a man with a quiet intensity. He pushed off the wall and started towards her. "Maya. Mrs. Rodriguez, right?" "Liam," she breathed, suddenly acutely aware of her sweaty clothes and disheveled hair. "Wow. You've grown." He chuckled, a low, pleasant sound. "Last time you saw me, I was probably trying to steal cookies from your kitchen." A wave of nostalgia washed over her. She remembered Liam as a constant presence in their house, practically a second son to her. He and David had been inseparable. I remember those days. David always blamed you, of course. She nudged his arm playfully. Hey, I was a good influence. Liam protested, his eyes twinkling. Mostly. Though, I do recall a certain incident involving a garden gnome and a can of spray paint. Maya laughed, the sound lighter than she'd felt in weeks. Don't remind me. Your mother had to pay for that, you know. A replacement gnome isn't cheap. She paused, the laughter fading slightly. How is your mother? I haven't seen her in ages. She's great. Still volunteers at the library. You should visit sometime. She always asks about you and David. Liam's gaze held hers a moment longer than necessary, and Maya felt a warmth spread through her cheeks. There was a depth in his eyes, a maturity that surprised and intrigued her. It was unnerving, this pull she felt, this unexpected awareness of him as something other than just David's childhood friend. Sparks fly after class. The Pilates studio emptied slowly, the scent of sweat and eucalyptus lingering in the air. Maya gathered her things, acutely aware of Liam lingering near the door, talking to a few other students. She didn't want to seem like she was waiting for him, so she fiddled with the strap of her yoga mat bag, pretending to scroll through her phone. Hey, Maya, Liam said, his voice cutting through the chatter. Need a ride? I'm heading in your general direction. Her heart did a little flutter kick. Oh, that would be great, actually. Thanks. She tried to sound nonchalant, but her palms were suddenly damp. The drive was initially awkward. Liam fiddled with the radio, settling on a low hum of indie music. So, he said, finally, did you actually enjoy being tortured by Ms. Stern? Maya laughed, the sound lighter than she expected. Tortured is a strong word. Challenged, maybe. My abs are definitely going to be feeling it tomorrow. Tell me about it, Liam groaned, flexing an arm. I'm going to need a chiropractor by the end of the week. They fell into an easy conversation about the class, the instructor, and eventually, movies. You know, Maya said, surprised, I'm a huge classic film buff. Liam's eyes lit up. No way. Me too. I thought I was the only person my age who actually appreciated black and white. Oh, please, Maya scoffed playfully. Don't tell me you're one of those people who only watches Bergman and Fellini. Hey. Liam protested, feigning offense. I appreciate a good Citizen Kane as much as the next guy. But I also have a soft spot for cheesy musicals. Really? Maya raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Like what? Singin' in the Rain, Liam admitted, a sheepish grin spreading across his face. Don't judge me. Never, Maya said, smiling. That's a classic for a reason. They debated the merits of Gene Kelly versus Fred Astaire for the rest of the drive, discovering a surprising number of shared favorites. As Liam pulled up to her apartment building, Maya felt a pang of disappointment. Thanks for the ride, she said, unbuckling her seatbelt. And for the movie debate. Anytime, Liam said, leaning slightly closer. We should, do it again sometime. He hesitated, then added, maybe not the Pilates part, though. Unless you're into that kind of thing. Maya laughed again. Maybe not. But I've been meaning to check out that hiking trail up on Bear Mountain. Are you into that kind of thing? A genuine smile stretched across Liam's face. I practically grew up on that trail. You free next weekend? Pilates with a purpose. Maya practically bounced out of bed on Thursday morning. It wasn't just the prospect of a double-shot latte that fueled her energy, it was the thought of Pilates. Specifically, Pilates with Liam. She'd even laid out her favorite teal leggings and a supportive sports bra the night before, a stark contrast to her usual haphazard routine. Chloe was already at the studio when Maya arrived, radiating her usual sunshine. Ready to be sculpted, she chirped, handing Maya a fresh towel. More than ready, Maya replied, a nervous flutter in her stomach. Liam was setting up the reformers, his dark hair catching the morning light. He looked up as Maya walked in, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Morning, Maya. Feeling limber today?" "Trying to," she said, hoping her blush wasn't too obvious. "Though I suspect you'll find a way to make me regret saying that." He chuckled, a warm, genuine sound that sent shivers down her spine. "Wouldn't dream of it." "Mostly." The class began, and Maya found herself acutely aware of Liam's presence. His voice, calm and steady, guided them through each movement. "Engage your core, lengthen through the spine," he instructed, his gaze sweeping across the room. When his eyes met Maya's, he held her gaze for a fraction longer, a subtle smile playing on his lips. During a particularly challenging plank variation, Maya wobbled precariously. "Looking a little shaky there, Rodriguez," Liam teased, his voice laced with concern. "Just testing my limits," she retorted, gritting her teeth and focusing on her form. "Careful you don't break them," he said softly, his eyes crinkling at the corners. He walked over and gently adjusted her hips, his touch sending a jolt of electricity through her. "Better?" "Much," she managed to squeak out, her heart hammering against her ribs. As the class progressed, the playful banter continued. A light-hearted competition seemed to spark between them, pushing them both to work harder. During the cool-down stretches, Liam walked around, offering individual adjustments. When he reached Maya, he paused, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder as he guided her into a deeper stretch. "You're getting stronger," he murmured, his voice low and intimate. "I can see it." Maya looked up at him, her eyes meeting his. A silent understanding passed between them, a shared acknowledgement of something more than just a student-teacher relationship. A warmth spread through her, a feeling of being seen, truly seen, for the first time in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, this Pilates thing was about more than just physical fitness. Whispers and doubts. The familiar burn in her thighs usually brought a sense of accomplishment after Pilates, but today it was overshadowed by a creeping unease. Maya gathered her things, trying to ignore the hushed voices emanating from the water cooler. It was always the same little clique, Brenda with her perfectly coiffed hair and matching workout set, and Susan and Carol, forever locked in a silent competition of who could lift heavier weights. "Practically a child," Brenda hissed, the words carrying easily across the open space. Maya's stomach clenched. "I saw them talking after class," Carol chimed in, lowering her voice but not enough. He was practically drooling. And she was, giggling. Giggling? Was that how she came across? Maya felt her cheeks flush. She told herself they couldn't possibly be talking about her and Liam, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. Susan, who usually remained neutral, added, "Well, she is trying to relive her youth. Remember that phase with the motorcycle?" Maya winced. The motorcycle phase had been short-lived and embarrassing, a desperate attempt to break free from routine after her divorce. Now, it was ammunition for gym gossip. She hurried towards the exit, pretending not to hear Brenda's final pronouncement, "It's just, inappropriate." Outside, the cool air did little to calm her racing thoughts. Was it inappropriate? Liam was 24, a grown man. But the age gap, it suddenly seemed enormous, a gaping chasm filled with judgment and whispers. She replayed their conversations in her head. Had she been leading him on? Was she just flattered by the attention of someone so young and attractive? The playful banter, the lingering glances, were they innocent or something more calculated? Maya leaned against her car, the metal cold against her back. She had been drawn to Liam's easygoing nature, his genuine interest in her life. He made her feel alive. But maybe she was misinterpreting everything. Maybe she was just projecting her own desires onto him, blinded by the thrill of something new. The joy she had felt after Pilates, the lightness in her step, had vanished, replaced by a heavy weight of self-doubt. She wasn't sure what to do, how to act, or even what she truly wanted anymore. The whispers had burrowed deep, poisoning the well of her newfound confidence. Maybe, just maybe, Brenda and her cronies were right. Josh's discomfort. The aroma of burnt popcorn hung thick in the air, a testament to Maya's distracted attempts at a family movie night. Josh slouched on the sofa, scrolling through his phone, a tight-lipped expression on his face. The discarded bowl sat precariously on the edge of the coffee table, a silent indictment. Finally, he tossed his phone down. "So," he began, his voice carefully neutral, "Liam's been talking." Maya's stomach plummeted. She busied herself picking at a loose thread on the throw pillow. "Talking? About what?" she asked, trying for nonchalance, but her voice wobbled. "About you guys. Hanging out." He avoided her gaze, focusing instead on a non-existent speck of dust on the carpet. "Like, a lot." The thread snapped. Maya sighed. "Josh, Liam's a friend. We take Pilates together. We sometimes grab coffee after." "Pilates?" He finally looked up, his eyebrows arching. "You? Pilates? With Liam?" The disbelief was palpable. He knew she usually hated exercise. "It's fun. And Liam's good company," she mumbled, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. "He's insightful. He listens." Josh scoffed. "He's, like, 2 years older than me. And he's my best friend. It's just, weird, Mom." He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture radiating teenage angst. "Really weird." Maya rose and started pacing. "I know it might seem strange, honey, but I'm allowed to have friends, aren't I? Even if they are younger." She hated how defensive she sounded. "It's not just that they're younger, Mom. It's Liam. I tell him everything. Everything. And now you guys are friends. What do I even say to him now?" He threw his hands up in exasperation. "You can say whatever you want, Josh. Nothing has to change. This doesn't affect our relationship, or yours with Liam." But even as she said the words, she knew they were a lie. Everything had changed. "But it does, Mom. Don't you get it? It makes things awkward. Gross, even." He shuddered dramatically. Maya sank back onto the sofa, defeated. "I'm sorry you feel that way, Josh," she said quietly. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. Josh picked up his phone again, his face a mask of teenage displeasure. The flickering screen illuminated the unspoken tension in the room. Maya knew this wasn't over. His discomfort had planted a seed of anxiety within her, and she knew it would blossom into full-blown worry before long. The burnt popcorn suddenly tasted even worse. Liam's retreat. 3 days. 3 days since Liam's laughter intertwined with hers amidst the dusty relics of the antique store, since a shared reach for a faded rose teacup had sparked a current between them. 3 days since he'd regarded her with an intensity that mirrored her most secret yearnings. Now, a void. Her gaze remained tethered to her dormant phone, silently imploring it to illuminate with his name. The rigorous Pilates sessions offered only fleeting solace. Each stretch, each calculated breath, served as a somber reminder of his absence. Evenings descended like leaden weights. The apartment's quiet was a heavy blanket, the ticking of Abuela's clock the only counterpoint. At last, she reached her limit. Clutching a cooling latte and a fragile sliver of determination, Maya drove to his building. She rationalized it as a welfare check, a concern for his health. But a nagging voice whispered a different, more painful explanation. He opened the door, his features gaunt, his hair a chaotic swirl. The usual brightness in his gaze had been supplanted by a guarded reserve. "Maya," he said, his tone devoid of inflection. "What are you doing here?" The question landed like a blow. "I was concerned. You hadn't been in touch." He retreated, inviting her inside with a vague gesture. The familiar aroma of aged paper and sandalwood, usually a comforting balm, felt suffocating, laden with unspoken anxieties. "Look," he began, traversing his living room with restless energy, "I've been giving this a lot of thought." He halted, raking a hand through his already disheveled hair. What's been happening between us, it was ill-advised." Her stomach dropped. The latte threatened to spill. "Ill-advised? What are you talking about?" He wouldn't meet her eyes, instead focusing on a faded patch on the floor covering. "The difference in our ages, Maya. It's attracting attention. My parents, they wouldn't approve. And even if they could, I'm not sure I can withstand the scrutiny." Tears stung her eyes. "So that's it, then? Because of what others might say? You're abandoning us?" He finally looked at her, his expression a complex blend of regret and trepidation. "It isn't that straightforward. I care deeply for you, Maya. I truly do. But I can't. I can't expose you to that kind of disapproval. You deserve someone who isn't hesitant." The final word echoed, a stark, hurtful confession. Maya set the latte down on a nearby table, her hands trembling. The inner radiance she typically possessed seemed to have flickered out. "So, I'm too old," she eked out, her voice barely audible. "No. That's not what I meant at all." "Then what do you mean, Liam?" she pressed, her voice gaining strength. "Tell me the real reason." He simply stood there, mute, the weight of his hidden fears constricting the space between them. A hike and a revelation. Liam found Maya halfway up the winding trail to Lookout Point, her bright yellow backpack a cheerful beacon against the muted greens and browns of the late afternoon forest. He quickened his pace, the familiar burn in his thighs a welcome distraction from the knot of anxiety twisting in his gut. "Maya," he called, his voice echoing slightly in the stillness. She turned, her face lighting up with a smile that chased away the last vestiges of his doubt. "Liam. What are you doing here?" He closed the distance, falling into step beside her. "Needed some perspective. Thought you might be up here." He gestured vaguely towards the summit. "Beautiful day for it." They walked in comfortable silence for a while, the only sounds the crunch of their boots on the path and the distant chirping of birds. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Liam felt a sense of calm settle over him, a feeling he realized he'd been desperately missing. Finally, as they reached their usual perch, a rocky outcrop overlooking the valley, he blurted out, "I've been an idiot." Maya frowned, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" He sat down on the edge of the rock, the valley sprawling before him. "I've been letting other people's opinions, their expectations, dictate what I do." He took a deep breath, the crisp air filling his lungs. "Especially when it comes to you." He looked at her, his gaze unwavering. "Maya, I like you. A lot. And I've been so caught up in what people might think, the age gap, the everything, that I almost let you slip away." Her eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and something akin to hope flickering within them. "Liam. I know it's unconventional," he rushed on, "and maybe it's crazy, but I don't care anymore. I don't want to be afraid. I want to see where this goes." He reached out, gently taking her hand. Her skin was warm and soft against his. Do you feel the same way?" Maya looked out at the valley, her expression unreadable. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the rustling of leaves in the breeze. Liam's heart pounded in his chest. Then, she turned back to him, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Yes, Liam," she whispered. "I do." A playful smile touched her lips. "But just so you know, you're buying the pizza next time. I'm starving after this hike." Liam laughed, relief washing over him in a tidal wave. "Deal." He squeezed her hand. The valley below seemed to shimmer in the golden light, a promise of new beginnings. Love conquers all at Pilates Paradise. The gasps rippled through Pilates paradise like a rogue current on the reformer. Maya, hand in hand with Liam, ignored the wide eyes and the stifled whispers. Chloe, spotting them from the doorway, grinned and gave Maya a subtle thumbs up. Maya squeezed Liam's hand, her own suddenly clammy. He met her gaze, his blue eyes a calming sea in the storm of speculation. "Ready?" he murmured. She nodded, her heart hammering against her ribs. This was it. Facing the music. Showing everyone that their connection was real, and that they weren't ashamed. The class itself was a blur of controlled movements and forced breaths. Maya focused on Liam beside her, on the subtle flex of his muscles, the way his brow furrowed in concentration. It was a shared experience, a quiet defiance against the judgmental stares that occasionally pierced her focus. After class, as they gathered their things, Josh approached them, a sheepish grin on his face. Maya braced herself. "Hey," he said, running a hand through his hair. "Look, I just wanted to say. I was wrong. About everything. You guys seem really good together." He clapped Liam on the shoulder. "Take care of her, okay? She deserves the best." Maya felt a wave of relief wash over her, so potent it almost brought her to her knees. "Thank you, Josh," she managed, her voice thick with emotion. Liam nodded, his grip on Maya's hand tightening. "I will." A year later, Maya stood on the balcony of Liam's apartment, the city lights twinkling below like a scattered constellation. The air smelled of salt and late-blooming jasmine from a nearby pot. She wore a simple sundress, the soft fabric a stark contrast to the leather jacket Liam had draped around her shoulders. Inside, a jazz record spun softly, the music a warm embrace. Liam emerged from the apartment, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "Happy anniversary," he said, his voice husky. He handed her a glass, the bubbles tickling her nose. She took a sip, the sweet, tangy liquid a perfect reflection of the past year. A year of stolen kisses, whispered secrets, and a love that had blossomed in the most unexpected of places. "To us," she said, raising her glass. He clinked his glass against hers, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "To us. And to proving everyone wrong." He set down his glass and pulled her close, the leather of his jacket rough against her skin. He kissed her, a slow, lingering kiss that spoke of commitment, of passion, of a future built on a foundation of unwavering love. Love had, indeed, conquered all at Pilates paradise.